increasingly alarming reports coming, this one today from the New York Times and others, about widespread targeting of Christians in Egypt, as we've heard in the past in Syria. They are accused by the Islamists of being complicit with the military junta that is trying to regain and maintain control in that country. It is our very good fortune to have with us somebody who has spoken and written as wisely, measuredly, but forcefully on all of these subjects, which is Juan Williams. Now, Juan is, yes, a political analyst here at Fox News. Yes. He is also a columnist at The Hill. Yes, true. But he is also, and this is actually where I like him best, I think, when you're doing your work at Fox News Latino.
Thank you very much.
It's very good stuff. You should check him out. Okay, Juan, when the New York Times sallies forth to talk about the plight of Christians in Egypt, we're getting a sense, we saw it in Syria, the beheadings, and we saw the priest killed for trying to defend nuns. Now we've seen nuns arrested and paraded in public. They're being called collaborators with the military. Americans may rightly be excused for wanting to reject paying too much attention for what's going on in the Middle East. But when Christians are being killed, their churches are being burned in a country with a Christian majority, that changes the dynamics about American interests, right?
Well, I think it changes the dynamics because overwhelmingly we're a Christian majority here in the United States. But speaking to you on a very personal level, as a Christian, I don't think there's any way that you can ignore the idea that fellow Christians are being persecuted as part of an effort by the Muslim Brotherhood to somehow, gain credibility with other Muslims or to exercise some muscle to show that they are able to humiliate nuns in this fashion. I think it's pretty horrific. And again, a reminder of, to my mind, why it is that the United States has an important self-interest in opposing the Muslim Brotherhood.
Well, when people with totalitarian tendencies, when there is upheaval, they often use those moments. Certainly we saw it in pre-Holocaust Germany, and you see it other times in history. When there is cultural upheaval, you have scapegoating of groups, and you're seeing scapegoating of Christians in Egypt, as the Islamists say. They're the ones to blame. Now, it would be hard not to blame the Coptic Christians of Egypt for collaborating with the military, because the military has been their only protection. One would expect that they would be working with the military to try to, if one side is burning your church and the other side is protecting your church, it isn't too hard to figure out which side might be better for you.
Right, but I think to my mind, it may be exactly what you described, but to my mind, as I've been reading about it, I think they view the Christian Coptics as surrogates for the United States.
Right. I think that's a big part of it.
And so I think what they're doing is they are preying on people that they have at hand, because they can't touch the United States, they can't touch the military, and so they have made the convenient surrogate into the Christian community.
Yeah, it's pretty horrifying stuff, and it's amazing. American Christians pay a cultural cost for their faith, perhaps ostracism, perhaps those things. When American Christians go to church and hear about the sacrifices, in physical sacrifices for faith, that early Christians made, including in that part of the world, in the first 2 centuries of the Christian faith, of being thrown to the lions, of being imprisoned, of being crucified, of those things, it may sound remote. It's happening in real time. These attacks and these martyrdoms are taking place in real time. Does this increase the pressure on the president? We hear John Kerry today in Pakistan praising the military for helping to bring democracy back, saying he deplores what is happening in the streets, but still noting a pleasant note about the military. The president is not acting to publicly withhold aid. Do these attacks increase a desire on the part of the administration to bolster the military?
I haven't heard from anybody inside the administration that it is a factor as yet. But I think as these reports grow, and as the Christian Coptic community worldwide and the Christian community in the United States, and potentially the Pope and others get involved in terms of defending the rights of fellow Christians, that could be a tremendous power play lobby, if you will. I use that very intentionally.
Quite so.
To push the president in that direction. Let me just say, I think that it's becoming clear that while initially everyone is concerned about loss of life and the idea that the military coup took place and that the military here is using a very heavy hand, and it was concerned, you got to... I think there's an increasing sense that, wait a minute, who are we using this heavy hand against? We're using it against people who don't believe in democratic institutions, people who overplayed their hand when Morsi was president, who absolutely destabilized the country's economy, and was not in any way acting to protect the rights of Christians
and minorities. Remember, we're talking about 10%.
Correct.
The Christians are about 10%. And, it's interesting. Brett Baer pointed out, and he shared it in our Fox News First note today, that you start to get a feeling about ethnic cleansing. There gets to be, because it's not just Egypt. And you saw there was a letter that the AP got from, I can't remember which general, but somebody high in the military command, American military command, writing to a congressman who was asked, why aren't we getting involved in Syria? And he said, because there's no good side.
Yeah, well, that's
why.
True.
Because who do you want to win? Can they all lose?
Yeah, really.
And that you see the same thing in Syria, that you get this feeling that for a vulnerable minority across the Middle East and across North Africa, these are dangerous times.
These are very dangerous times. And again, this, to bring us back to Egypt, this is why the American self-interest has to be protected. It's not that we're going to pick one side or another, but you have to say, well, where is the best outcome for the United States in terms of our larger goals? I think Israel is our prime ally there. Israel's made it very clear what their interest is. They want a stable Egypt, and they are willing to support the military to that end. They are not saying, we must support the Muslim Brotherhood. What about Saudi Arabia? What about Kuwait? What about United Arab Emirates? They've made it very clear who they want to support in this feud. Now, this morning in the Wall Street Journal, Elliot Abrams offers a different point of view from our colleague John Bolton. Bolton says, we've got to be very clear supporters of the military. Elliot Abrams says, we don't really have that much leverage, and if we exercise the leverage in support of the military, you can be possibly supporting the idea that there would be an insurgency, that there would be anger built up over time, and it would undermine American interest. I don't know.
It's complicated. There's one thing we know. The Onion headline was Egypt descends into state of Middle East, and it's saddening because, again, this was a country that was once a bulwark. This was the bulwark of stability in the Middle East. Hosni Mubarak, who's getting out of prison today,
unbelievable,
is probably having a good laugh. 85-year-old Hosni Mubarak is probably having a good laugh. Juan Williams, you made us smarter. That's something that very few people can. That very few times a day can we actually say that. You made us smarter.
Well, thanks for inviting me in.
Man,
Appreciate it, Chris.
The internet's all about the magic wand.
Power play. Here we go.